Well, in 1961, Kennedy, who was indeed an advocate of special warfare and Green Berets, things like that, he passed two National Security Action Memoranda, I think it was 55 and 57, which provided for operations into North Vietnam. They were escalating the war in different ways. These were singularly unsuccessful. I think there were virtually no survivors from these operations. In the countryside, essentially the Americans inherited from the French a situation where in the cities the mercantile elements, the middle class, and so on, who were profiting from trade with the West, were pro-French presence. And they had been fortified after 1954, with 1 million Catholics had been brought down by the Americans in planes and ships and established in areas in South Vietnam. But that was virtually the only rural support for the Saigon regime. All over the world, we've seen this situation where the city was relatively pro-Western and modernizing. The countryside remained quite alienated. The great strength of the what became known as the National Liberation Front, which we called the Viet Cong or Viet Communists, was in the countryside. But as the war went on and went worse and worse, they developed more and more support in the cities and even inside the Americans' Vietnamese army, the RVN army, so that this was becoming obvious by 1963 that as the waging of the war produced more anti-Americanism and anti-Saigon feelings in the countryside than the reverse. So this is why people from really virtually the beginning of Kennedy's administration, and very visibly in '62, were beginning to doubt that this campaign would succeed. And this is why, if I may add, Kennedy sent Galbraith, John Kenneth Galbraith, who was the ambassador in India and technically had no responsibilities in Vietnam, but Kennedy picked him out to go to Vietnam and report back to him. And as Galbraith said later, Kennedy picked me because he knew I did not have an open mind. In other words, he knew the report he would get, and Galbraith's report back was that it was a bad situation, and it was time to think about making a graceful exit by a negotiated phased withdrawal. And that word phased withdrawal is crucial because that's exactly what Kennedy ordered McNamara to begin planning for in May of 1962, which is only halfway through his administration.